Going on all? I think we're here. Just give me a quick second. Saying we're live. Welcome back. Crazy times. Just wanted to say hello, check in, and have a few videos and resources about a topic that I normally, to be honest, I don't know much about personally because I'm a white man. But I do want to share some videos, some interesting, resources that I've learned more about in the past few days and in the post George Floyd, the very atrocious, very appalling passing of this African-American man in Minneapolis, Minnesota. So just want to check in with you guys and see that we're here. And then I want to cut to some clips here. One from Terrence Floyd, one which is George Floyd's brother. A really inspiring clip. I'll get to that in just a moment. It was circulating on Twitter. Surprisingly, it only had 4 million views. And kind of the point of this live is something that's a little bit different. Of course, we want to talk about racism, race, and police violence and address that. And I want to encourage all of you to be better people, to act better, to behave better, to go the extra mile when you're interacting with someone that is of a different skin color than you, to make sure that, you're really helping them to feel welcome so that we can eradicate these irrational beliefs. I have hypothesis as to why racism exists, but I'm not an expert in this area. I don't know that I even want to talk about it. But, this is just something that I personally do. And again, I'm not the world's leading expert in social science, but when I'm interacting with someone that's of a different gender than me or different color than me, whether they're of Indian descent, there's a lot of Middle Eastern, folks here in the Seattle, Washington area, Asian, Black, I really try to take that extra step to be a much better person so that people just feel welcome. Maybe that's going overboard, but I feel like some people, I used to travel to Chicago a lot and, of course, very densely African-American population. And I feel like people, when I would at the register, they'd almost expect me sometimes to be an a-hole. And I would surprise them by being extra nice. So I just think that's something that all of us should be better people anyway. But I just wanted to, kind of talk about this, have some videos I'm going to cut to. Just want to make sure, again, that we're on. Again, these are topics that, friends, I normally don't talk at all about because this is not something that I'm, trained in. Gosh, where are we at here? But I want us to think a little bit better. And let's just talk about, before I cut to the video with Terrence Floyd, which is amazing. And I want you to share this with your friends and family. Really empowering. And why talk about this? Because I feel like we got so myopically focused as a society about slowing down the virus that we forgot about the consequences and the non-financial attributes associated with having a job. Now, where am I going with this? I'm going to the violence, the riots, okay? We got so focused on slowing down the virus that we locked people in their homes for a month and a half, roughly, depending upon the state where you live. In Washington State, we're just now getting into phase 1, where the lockdown order expired yesterday. I mean, it's crazy, right? So it was almost 2 full months. And so the straw that broke the camel's back, a very egregious and very untimely, very appalling and very infuriating instance of excessive use of force by a policeman on an African-American male, George Floyd, absolutely atrocious. That just spiraled people into a panic where there's, we'll talk about, with Glenn Loury very soon, a video I'm going to share with you, some of the irrational aspects of that, the aftermath, because it doesn't serve communities. It destroys them. It pulls people apart. We're becoming more unified. I think today, this Blackout Tuesday, a lot of people on social media are sharing, black pictures and talking about, just being more open-minded about what's going on. But it seemed that we got so myopically focused on the virus that we lost sight of the unintended consequences that come as a result of having 40 million people now unemployed. There's a lot of financial independent benefits to having a job. You have responsibilities. And then, by the way, the mask wearing, okay, the wide adoption of everyone needs to wear a face mask, even though there's never been a reported case of someone getting the virus in a public setting. This just became something that people do, and they're still doing it. So a lot of people felt anonymous. They're frustrated. They don't have a job. They don't have responsibilities. They've been locked in their home. Young people here, and they're already polarized by this issue. So then we have looting and rioting and all that. Now, so the point of this video again, the point of my channel, the point of you watching this and you subscribing is I don't want to be popular. I want you to think. I want to be the person that inspires you to think differently. That's why we cover different topics. I want you to think critically. And when we myopically focus on one thing, let's just say cholesterol, right? This is what allopathic doctors have done for years. They focus on the bad aspects of cholesterol. Well, if we look in the biopsies of individuals that have congestive heart failure, we see cholesterol build up. So therefore, cholesterol must be bad. We need to everyone needs to be on a statin and a drug that inhibits HMG-CoA reductase, inhibits this enzyme that makes cholesterol. We all need to avoid fat and cholesterol in our diet. But what if it's not the cholesterol, right? And then so again, making this parallel back to everything that's gone on this past week, if we think about, first of all, whether or not this event was a true act of racism. Now, I know a lot of you are going to be polarized with that, but what if this Derek Chauvin was just a bad person? What if he's just a really bad cop? What if he's just a bad person? Was it a true act of racism? And I think the fact that some of you are going to be very triggered by me saying this, and again, I'm not a racist, okay? I'm telling you that right now. I love black people. I love black people. I have a lot of black friends, and I know people say, oh, well, everyone that's racist says that. Look, I'm not racist, but what I'm saying is, how do we know without a shadow of a doubt that this Derek Chauvin guy was just not an asshole of a person? He could just be a terrible person. Race could have been 10% of it, 5%, 25%, or it could have been 100% of it. But now we don't even know because the pendulum has swung so far. And again, I think it's a blessing in disguise, okay? Because now so many more people are open to learning more about this, to understanding the race dynamics, to understanding police brutality. I know over the weekend I ordered a bunch of books, Ghetto Side, I ordered On the Run. I've been watching and consuming a lot of content by African-American, people that are talking about these issues. I feel like I felt so ignorant that I don't know anything about this, So I want to learn more about it. So I think that's the silver lining. It's good. We're having these conversations, but the fact that we unanimously pivoted and said this has to be 100% without a shadow of the doubt a instance of racism. I'm not saying it isn't. I'm not saying it was. But I'm going to cut to Glenn Loury in a minute, and he's an African-American sociologist, and he's going to talk. Let me just get to that clip because I think it's really interesting. When I say this, as a white man, you might think, oh my gosh, you're racist, Mike. But when he says it, it sounds way better. So let's just cut to this with Glenn. I think it's really important for us to think critically. And again, you're going to dig this. Here we go.
Every kind of cultural medium dealing with Black life is saturated with this narrative about Blacks, the cops, crime, prison. You see how Joe Biden wants to talk to Black people? He wants to talk to us about crime, about prisons, about how, because he thinks, and perhaps not inaccurately, that much of our political sensitivity is going to be driven by this narrative about the thing. So I don't know. I think it's completely wrong, John. I think Black people in poor cities need the cops. They need the cops. They need public safety. They need security. The main threat to the quality of their life is not being preyed upon by cops. It's being victimized by other Black people. That's just a fact. It's just a fact. Okay? So if we're interested in the quality of life, among the things, of course, to which we should attend is, bad behaving cops who are hurting people and hurting Black people. Of course, we should not ignore that. But can we kind of keep this thing in proportion? The tail wags the dog here. We need the cops. Okay, cultivating a sensibility in our people of distrust and contempt for the cops is self-destructive. It's wrong-headed. It's wrong-headed. And then it gets us into these moral problems where I fear that you may be in danger of falling, my friend, where we can't call something that is barbaric and horrific what it is. You say you don't want to make any judgments. You don't want to call it. Man, if you are killing people, that's evil. That's bad. That's not just a social artifact. It's not just something that we have to get used to because, unfortunately, people don't have jobs. It's contemptible. And the rioting is contemptible. It deserves unreserved condemnation. When people pour out of their houses into the streets with the intent to assault and to destroy other people's property, there's no warrant for that. There's no justification for it whatsoever.
Are you sure there isn't, though?
Yeah.
Are you sure?
That's
Can you really
tell me why I'm wrong, Mike? Because the entire social compact depends upon me thinking that.
All right. So again, that was Glenn Loury. I'll link his YouTube channel below. But I think it's important, again, these videos that I've been watching from Glenn, Sam Harris, some of the other videos that are out there online, Candace Owens, who else? Antoine Tucker. I mean, I've been following and diving into this a lot. And I think it's important that we look at these situations very critically. And I think it's important that if we must consider the side effects to our decisions on a public health level. So let's just talk about the virus, back to the virus for just one moment. Okay, one of the complications that we're seeing as a result of trapping people in their homes, massive unemployment, a lot of idle time, is all it took is that one little social injustice. And I shouldn't say little, very big, okay, for George Floyd, very big for his family. But on a societal level, right, one loss of life, again, very egregious, very appalling. Virtually no one agrees that what was done by Derek Chauvin was justified or warranted. It was absolutely atrocious, terrible. The guy should be hung, okay? I mean, it was terrible, absolutely terrible. And everyone is in universal agreement that that was absolutely bad. Yet every major city throughout the United States was burning to the ground. There was absolutely no disagreement amongst anyone that that was somehow justified or warranted or helpful or needed or necessary. It was a terrible thing. But I think, Glenn does a good job at talking about, well, was it absolutely 100% racially charged? And I think it's very easy to quickly look at that and go, oh my gosh, it's a white guy on top of a black guy. It must be racism. But I think we all need to, again, look at this from a critical perspective and realize that racism and profiling absolutely exists. It needs to change. But what are the side effects, the unintended side effects for primarily African-American communities if this is how any altercation goes down? And I'm saying, okay, any non-egregious altercation. Let me give you an example, okay? If I was a police officer and I working in Queens or Brooklyn or the Bronx, and there was a call about a woman who was raped, or there was a call about domestic violence, as a police officer in the post-George Floyd era, you're going to have you're going to have reservations about intervening due to the potential fact that you might get shot because people now really hate cops. There's going to be issues. And as Glenn just talked about, cops are needed, with domestic violence issues, with other situations. So again, I'm not saying I know all the answers, but I think a lot of us should think critically before we react to anything. We did this with the virus. We said, oh my gosh, the virus is the worst thing in the world. It's very transmissible. It's going to kill everyone. It's going to wipe out humanity. So then what did people do? They bought toilet paper. Toilet paper is not going to help you in the context of a respiratory virus. There was a very egregious killing of a black man. So what do people do? They loot stores. They burn cop cars. Guys, burning cop cars, it's going to piss people off more. We're just focusing on that. And so I want us all to think differently. And so this is what Terrence Floyd, George Floyd's brother, I believe is his younger brother, I'm not 100% certain on that. This is what he suggests we do, is we vote. We don't destroy our city. We don't burn it down. We vote. I want you to hear this right from his mouth, okay? If anyone is upset and sad and disappointed and thinks that this is egregious, it's him. It's his own brother. I mean, my gosh, he lost his brother. It's terrifying. I couldn't imagine the feelings that I would be going through. He's not advocating burning down the city. He's not advocating looting stores. That doesn't work. In fact, if you look at some of the data in some of the in Ferguson, Missouri, for example, crime has gone up post, I believe it was Mike Brown in these different situations. So anyway, let's hear from Terrence Floyd.
What's happening? Y'all protest, y'all destroy stuff, And if they don't move, you know why they don't move? Because it's not their stuff, it's our stuff. So they want us to destroy our stuff. They're not going to move. So let's do this another way. Let's do this another way. Y'all right. Let's do this another way. Let's stop thinking that our voice don't matter and vote. Not just vote for the president, vote for the preliminaries, vote for everybody. Educate yourself. Educate yourself. Don't wait for somebody else to tell you who's who. Educate yourself and know who you're voting for. I understand y'all upset. But like it was already said, I doubt y'all half as upset as I am. So if I'm not over here wilding out, if I'm not over here blowing up stuff, if I'm not over here messing up my community, then what are y'all doing? What are y'all doing? Y'all doing nothing. Because that's not going to bring my brother back at all. It may feel good for the moment, just like when you drink. But when it comes down, you're going to wonder what you did.
That's right. Listen. So true.
My family is a peaceful family. My family is God-fearing.
All right, guys. So that was it from Terrence Floyd. Again, that video was recorded on NBC. I was looking at some of the comments. Some of you are saying that I'm a racist. Some of you are saying I'm tone deaf. Again, I'm sharing perspectives from African-American individuals. And I saw this same line of thinking when I was talking about the virus, okay? Anytime you talk about an issue that has an emotional element, people don't hear what you're saying, okay? I'm in no way saying that what Derek Chauvin did to George Floyd was justified. It was egregious. It was terrible. It was absolutely horrendous. It was awful. It was upsetting. When I was watching that video, I wanted to jump in there and punch Derek Floyd in the face and go, get off him. What the f- are you doing? Like, it was awful. I'm not in any way, shape, or form justifying that. Look, I've been arrested only because I was with another African-American male when I was 15 years old. It was the second time I've been arrested. I'm not going to get into that today because this is not the day where we need to talk about Mike Mutzel. I'll share with you, I've been wanting to make a video about that for a very long time. I understand racial profiling from a white man's perspective. I don't know what it's like to be black. Okay, I don't. And I'm not saying I do. But I see the comments. I don't want you all saying, Mike, you're a racist. That's not what this is about. I want us to think better. That's it. I want us to think better. Of course, I want justice for Derek Floyd. I don't know if he deserves lynching, but look, what the guy did was horrendous, horrific, unjustifiable. But let's talk about what the Asian cop did. Did you all see the Asian cop just stand there and watch? Why isn't anyone talking about that? What is that guy doing? So then if we think about that, and again, take the emotion out of it, okay? Take the emotion out of it, and we say, is that Asian cop racist too? I don't know. It's hard. He must be if he's watching this thing. If this is all about a really egregious racial act, it was a very egregious act on another human. But if it was 100% racially driven, then that Asian cop must have been a racist too because he did nothing. And all the people around him were saying, dude, you're going to let this happen? He just stood there. It's crazy to me. It's madness. It's so egregious. It almost appears to be planned. It almost appears to be a setup. I mean, it's crazy. And it's crazy to even think that that could be the case. But look at the Friday before this event happened. Okay, look at Joe Biden. He was talking about, well, if you don't vote for me, then you ain't black. And the black community freaked out. And then we have this. And so it's seemingly like there was a shift in the narrative, trying to refocus the attention. I don't know. That's a hypothesis I have, but it's just the way that the media cover this. It's absolutely crazy. It's egregious. But as people of all different colors, we need to strive better to think better, and to treat people better. As I mentioned, when I first opened this up, I used to travel to Chicago a lot. The first thing that I would do is getting out of the airport, I would go to the rental car station, and I would interact primarily with African-American women who were, running the cashier essentially, to give me the rental car, whether it's Hertz or National. Some of these women at first, they would probably assume that I was going to be an asshole because maybe other white men before me were jerks. I would go above and beyond, and just to be as nice as I possibly could, to leave them in their memory so that they know that, hey, not all white people are rude to me. I wanted to create good memories for them. And I think that's the onus is on us, friends. And this is the blessing in disguise. This is the silver lining of this entire thing. As awful as it was, as awful as the aftermath was, and maybe will continue to be, it's a great wake-up call for all of us to realize that we all need to do better. We can be better. We don't need to, if we're having a bad day, we don't need to bring it on to someone else and be an asshole. We need to be nice to each other. That can carry on. I mean, if you've ever had someone who's been a jerk to you and flipped you off, and like this Cooper lady in the park in New York who was just a real jerk to the other Cooper gentleman, how do they have the same last name? It's beyond me. But, that's just uncalled for. It's unnecessary. We need to treat people better. What I've found in my experience is black people are generally nicer overall than white people. I've noticed that. They're just more, want to talk to you about stuff and more family oriented. It's just, we need to treat each other nice. We need to do a better job. So again, I'm not turning this channel into a socio-political channel. I'm not by any means an expert in this area, but I just wanted to use this platform that we built up, primarily talking about health, to remind you to think better and to do better, to act better, to treat people better. There's one last part that I want to get to with Glenn, okay? One last video. I'm going to get to in just a moment. And he's going to talk about what I've been talking about and summarize. Now, it probably is going to come across better because he's an African-American male. He grew up on the south side of Chicago, which if you've never been to Chicago, that's basically in the hood. He's going to articulate what happened in Minnesota much better than I can. So I just want to cut to that, and I'll put links to Glenn's YouTube channel. So here we go with Glenn.
The other thing is how it gets narrated, how it gets constructed. Race might have been a part of it, but it might have been 5% of it. But now it has become the entire thing. It's become a statement about the nature of race in America. And that's I think, a highly questionable, a very problematic move.
I think just a couple of things. We have to come back to the point that, I learned talking to you, which is that nationwide, there are white, usually guys, who are killed by the cops in very similar circumstances to these. And it's a long list. And in terms of the official numbers, black people are killed rather disproportionately, but actually it's not nearly as stark as people would suppose. White men are killed by the police under indefensible circumstances constantly in the United States, and
more white men than black men, for example.
Yeah, and so
absolutely more, but not relatively more.
Right. And so, for example, Philando Castile, I don't remember the names as well as I did 2 or 3 years ago, but there was a white version of Philando Castile, not in Minneapolis. But that sort of thing can happen to a white person too. It just doesn't make the news. I'm not aware of white versions of Arbery or Floyd in terms of exactly what happened to them. But then there's the second thing, which is that we're not supposed to ask something, and it's just asking, which is the reason that Minneapolis cops kill more black men than white, and apparently they do. There's a figure that has 13 in it. I forget whether it's 13 times more or something. There's some figure where so it doesn't happen to Nils Olson remotely as much. Is it because black people in Minneapolis, and wait for this, folks, I'm sorry, but we've been trained not to ask. Is it because black men in Minneapolis commit more crime? And if they do, it's not because there's something wrong with them. It's not to deny that slavery and Jim Crow happened. Maybe it's because of poverty. But is it that more
how do you
black
know
men?
that? You don't know that.
Well, I'm going to try to know it.
That's another one of those things that, you don't have a real factual knowledge of it, but it must be true. We know that the crime has to be caused by poverty. It can't be caused by depravity. It can't be caused by bad values, by inhumanity,
You're on your own
by
with that
stupidity, by
I'm not going
cravenness,
there.
by greed. Wait a minute. No.
Nobody's
Could there not be a moral
Except
failing
the
in a
president.
community? I'm asking a question. Can there not be evidence of a moral failing in a community which has a high crime rate? Must it be necessarily the consequences of poverty and privation? Come on. What kind of theory have we got of human behavior where it's this one-dimensional thing where economic circumstances determine everything and there's no room for character, values, and morality?
Oh, of course. But what is a moral failing? Where would that
A moral
come
failing
from?
is you have a wallet with money in it that I want, and I'm willing to put a pistol against your head, risking blowing your brains out in order to take it. That's a moral failing. A moral failing is because I want the popularity of my gang fellows, I'm willing to go up to a stranger and blow their brains out just to demonstrate that I'm willing to do it. Okay? That's a moral failing. A lack of the human empathy that would inhibit you from behaving in ways that are absolutely destructive of the lives of others. The other thing is...
All right, guys. So what do you think? I love Glenn. I heard about him first a couple years ago on Sam Harris's podcast and thought, gosh, this guy is so articulate. He just really cuts through the emotion. And that's the hard part, and I read some of your comments here. Look, I get it. People... I'm not trying to piss you off, guys, especially folks of color. I'm not trying to say that. I don't have all the answers. But what I see here is it's hard to think through things because there's so much emotion attached to it that I just thought, as I'm learning myself more about these topics, and I encourage people to reach out to me and let me know, hey, if you think I'm tone deaf, let me know what videos I should watch. What books should I be reading? Again, I ordered On the Run. I ordered Ghetto Side. I ordered them Saturday from Powell's Books in Portland. You guys know I rock that shirt a lot. I'm all ears, man. I want to learn more about this stuff. But I just think that we need to look at topics and pull the emotion out of it. Obviously, police violence is an issue. It keeps coming up. It's going to come up. It's going to happen again. But if we tear down police stations, if we do all that, then the black communities are going to have to police themselves. And if violence is a predominant issue leading to premature mortality, then is burning down the police station and scaring cops from intervening in domestic violence and rape situations and other situations. What's that going to do for the community? So I worry about the side effects, just like I worry about the side effects of the virus, of not the virus itself, but our interventions in the virus. We shut down the world, and then are we surprised that people are pissed off and looting and rioting? All they needed was one, really egregious event to then go loot and all that. And I say this because, look, there were many, rightly so, African-American people in their communities that were deterring white people from tearing down their community and spray painting and breaking windows. Look, I understand if you're a white person that wants to sympathize with everything that's going on, but you have no business vandalizing anyone's business, okay? This is not about you. Peacefully protest, but you have no business spray painting, breaking windows, stealing stuff. Give me a break. I mean, this was just insane. I had a buddy of mine from high school, Brandon Cruz. He lives right in downtown Bellevue, which Sunday night it got destroyed by all these Antifa rioters and all this crap. And he saw it was just a bunch of white punk kids, man. It was that's baloney. This is just crap. They're just using this excuse to cause violence. They have no skin in the game. They don't know what it's like, and meanwhile, you have well-intended, well-to-do, African-American people that are frustrated with the situation, peacefully protesting, and then you have the white Antifa goonballs breaking windows down. And it's messed up, man. It's really messed up. So I think part of that, if where I was going with this is if people had jobs to get to, if people didn't, have mandatory face mask wearing ordinances, maybe they wouldn't have felt so anonymous. Maybe they would have just, peacefully protested. If businesses were open, would all these people have run in and looted? No, there would be people, there'd be employees, or there would have been other people to stop this, but all the businesses were closed. So again, we were so myopically focused on this virus that we closed down businesses, we pissed people off, and it just took the straw that broke the camel's back. And again, I'm not saying that it's unjustified. I'm glad people protested, but did they need to vandalize and loot and destroy their city? No, man, this is not right. So again, we do this all the time. We put on our blinders. We just focus on one little thing. So that's the point of this video, guys, is I don't even like talking about race and inequalities in this because it's such a radioactive topic. Whatever I say, I'm going to get critiqued. I looked at the likes to dislikes ratio. I'm getting hammered here on this video. So if you enjoy this content, please hit that like button. That way YouTube won't flag me for being a jerk. I'm not trying to be a jerk. I'm just trying to get us to think differently. And again, there's individuals, Candace Owens, Antoine Tucker, Glenn Loury. If you know other people that I should be watching instead of those individuals, let me know. Look, I'm all ears, man. I'm totally open-minded. We cover a range of topics on this channel. So, friends, I just wanted to say, I've been feeling not in a creative mood with all this uncertainty, all this stuff, and some of the things that I've been watching. I just want to share with you. So that's why I made this live video. If I came across as tone deaf, I'm sorry. I'm not. That's not my intent at all. There's going to be asshole cops out there, man. That's just how it is. There's going to be asshole doctors. There's going to be asshole teachers. There's going to be asshole UPS drivers. Okay. We need to do better. If you want to, it's best to just avoid the cops. Okay. Now I know that's easier said than done, and I know cops. Some bad cops go after African-American males. So I understand that, right? But what I'm saying is like Mike Rashid, an African-American fitness trainer, he's got a big YouTube channel. He had a great point here a couple years ago. It's stuck in my head. If you play in dirt, you're going to get dirty, right? So if I personally and I want to avoid cops, I used to have a fast car. I used to have this Audi S4. I was getting tickets all the time, right? It's like, if I want to avoid getting tickets, I need to go in a car that doesn't go that fast. It's not going to encourage me to speed and get tickets. It's not going to attract cops. So I got a different car. I got a slower car. Yeah, and again, I know that's easier said than done because there are some asshole cops that racial profile. That's going to happen. It's very unfortunate. I don't know the solution. I don't know that anyone does, but we all need to do our best to be better to other people and to minimize our exposure, to police. I don't want to get, cops can be rude, man. I've gotten pulled over there, and if I was black, they probably would have been way more rude. I understand that. I sympathize. I wish I had the solution, but I just think that, we got to do better as people. So I appreciate you tuning in. Maybe I don't know if I'll even post this video. But guys, if you enjoyed this content, hit that like button. What I'm going to do after the fact is upload the books that I recommended in the description. Sorry if I came across tone deaf. Maybe I am, and I'm not intending to be rude to anyone. I just wanted to share some things that really helped me understand the situation a little bit better. And hope you have a great day. Thanks for tuning in. Catch you all soon. Bye.